was such an original piece of intelligent entertainment. It rang bells for me in that I was one of those 400 million people worldwide riveted by the interviews as well, and they'd meant a lot to me at the time. But that's not why I wanted to direct it. That was like a residual value. To me, it's this really suspenseful, almost like a great courtroom suspense piece. And the characters are so rich and so engrossing and so well written, and that's what drew me to the piece.
It was amazing. Yeah, I'm not aware of that happening very often, and I didn't believe that I would actually be doing the movie until I was on the set on day one, and even then I thought someone would come up and go, right, off you go, A-team in now. Leonardo comes in and play, I don't know. So it was incredibly exciting, and to be able to go on that whole journey for me and Frank, to have started a tiny little theatre in London, and then in the West End, and then Broadway, and then the movie was just amazing. I did my last performance on Broadway on the Sunday afternoon, and by Thursday morning I was in LA shooting the film.
Well, he wasn't a foil. Frost isn't a foil. They were equally matched in different arenas. Each man was at the top of his game in his arena. And the notion that David was somehow not skilled or not adept at this is David in his own way, David Frost, the man, in his own way, had his own set of skills that were equal on his side to Nixon's on his side. All the things that Peter puts into the film about my private life and Frost's private life are wonderful, and they make it interesting and entertaining. But the fact is, when they were on camera together, David stayed there relentlessly. He stayed there. Well, it'll be very interesting for me to see what the response to him is related to the film. I know from the year and a half of the play, many people came backstage and said, I really didn't want to feel any compassion towards him. I came in determined not to. But in the end, hopefully, the fact that he was a human being, like all of the human beings, who had many, many qualities to dislike, many, many qualities to feel uncomfortable about. You can't escape the fact that he is first and foremost a person, loaded with faults and flaws, and also loaded with extraordinary intelligence and a great sense of statesmanship, and what it took to be a great statesman, and how much he wanted to be a great statesman. And the fact is, he did it to himself, and if you can accept that, excuse me, if you can accept the fact that he brought himself down, you can feel a certain amount of sympathy for him. It is. It's a great boxing match, and it's. I spent a lot of time at his library, reading all of his notes in preparation for it, and reading actual answers that I said in the film that were written down on paper. We think Mr. Frost may ask you this question, and here's what we think an appropriate response will be, and he memorized it. Many of the things I say in the film are actual notes that he made for himself or were made by his staff for him to say. He went into it like any good lawyer would. This guy may do this guy. He may see that. I have to be ready to do this. I have to feign here. I have to back up. I have to go in for a jab. I have to hold on. I have to not let him win. I can't let him see that I'm weak or bleeding or anything like that.
It is. It's an intellectual Rocky. Yeah. It's a sit-down Rocky.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
That's good. Did you guys get that? That's good.
You know what I mean? Underdog.
Thinking man's Rocky. Yeah. Yeah. We're like the cornerman.
We are. We're like the cornerman.
I was Burgess. You were Meredith.
Exactly.
Who was that?
We're all collectively Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith. That would be Burdith. I'm Burdith.
Come on, Rock. That was terrible. I don't know why.
That's good.
No, I don't. I watch these interviews very carefully, and I don't think David ever really got the best of him in 99% of it, and even in the end when he did say what he said. I don't really believe it was a shock surprise. It's wonderful theater, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderfully theatrical moment, but Nixon wasn't a man you could get off guard pretty easily at all. He was a really good lawyer, and he knew what he was doing, and he'd been at this for years and years and years. But David did, with Jim Reston, come up with a piece of information that had never been publicly expressed before, and that was the catalyst that caused Nixon to say, okay, I did something that I regret, and I let down the country, and I'm sorry for it. It's what they needed. It's only about 40 seconds worth of material, but it's what made those interviews so famous, that 40 seconds. No, I don't think it's a confession. I think that's the wrong word. I think he gives way a little bit. You know, he gives the public something they can hope. He gives them more than he'd ever given them before. He says, I let you down. I made a mistake. I tried to cover this up, and now that I look back on it, I see I was involved in a cover-up. I let down my country. I let down the people. I let down, and I don't want young people to think they shouldn't get into government because it's a noble profession. I don't think he says noble profession, but he does say you should get into government. You should help your country.
You know, Ron is someone that approaches his films with a tremendous amount of energy and passion and excitement. The excitement that he shows about having the opportunity to direct a film is contagious. It comes down from the top. You just get jazzed to be there, to be on the set, to be, you know, working with this guy on this material. It was a lot of fun.
At the end of the day, I think this story has a lot less to do with, you know, Watergate or his resignation or any single political event. It has everything to do with how crucial it is in a democracy that once in a while the media allow us, the citizens, to actually get at the truth and actually, you know, actually see something, feel something, understand what's true about our leadership.
Good evening. I shall resign the presidency at noon tomorrow.
This is an historic day, the only time a president has ever resigned from office.
Nixon knew about the Watergate cover-up.
The man who has committed the greatest felony in American history will never stand trial.
I've had an idea for an interview. Richard Nixon.
You're a talk show host.
I spent yesterday watching you interview the Bee Gees.
Weren't they terrific?
Why would I want to talk to David Frost?
I got $500,000.
Really?
Frost has hired 3 crack investigators.
Can I be crack one?
Can I be deep crack? You gonna shake his hand?
After everything he's done in this country? Are you kidding me?
Ah, pleasure to meet you.
Mr. President.
That was devastating. I mean, I don't think he's ever gonna get over that.
Frost is just not in your class, sir. You're going to be able to rebuild your reputation.
This entire project is a joke.
I do hope that isn't coming out of your own pocket.
I wish my pockets were that deep. I'm in this for everything I've got.
There's a reason they call him Tricky Dick.
Stand by to roll tape.
You had a pleasant evening last night?
Yes.
4, 3, 2.
Did you do any fornicating?
And cue David.
The American people need a conviction. I'd like to give Richard Nixon the trial he never had. Democracy depends on it.
We're not going to let that happen. We're going to make them choke on power and glory.
Why didn't you burn the tapes?
I didn't want to take any questions on Watergate.
Shut it down.
I will ruin you if it takes the rest of my life.
What have I done?
If in this interview Nixon exonerates himself,
4,
that would be the worst crime of all.
3, 2. Cue David.
Are you really saying the president can do something illegal?
I'm saying that when the president does it, That means it's not illegal.
I'm sorry.